the home family tracking thing is something that you've got to give up in the once you're divorced. Like, that's got to go away. But it's like he's still counting on it. When there's a family emergency, it's like, oh no, I'm going to find you. I'm going to find you wherever you are.
That's right. Hi there, and welcome into a brand new week on Celebrity Salute, dedicated to the men and women who serve our country in active duty, our veterans and their families. We're here for you. God bless you. We love you. On each episode, we look for people and stories with some connection to these heroes. I'm Randy Miller. Jon Cryer is an actor, writer, producer, and television director. Born into a show business family, he made his movie debut as a teenage photographer in the 1984 romantic comedy No Small Affair. His breakout role came in 1986 in the John Hughes-written film Pretty in Pink. In 2003, he was cast in a co-leading role as Alan Harper on the CBS sitcom 2.5 Men with Charlie Sheen, a major hit for 12 seasons, for which he won 2 Primetime Emmy Awards. He received a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame in 2011. Cryer's other film appearances include Superman, The Quest for Peace, Hiding Out, Hot Shots, Holy Man, Tortured, and Hit by Lightning. He's now starring in a new sitcom on CBS called Extended Family. We're happy to have Jon Cryer join us right here on Celebrity Salute. Jon, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Hey, this is a fun show. This is a cool idea and something that I've never read before. When you read the synopsis, it's centered around the shifting family dynamics following a good-natured divorce.
Yes. An actual amicable divorce. It happens. It actually happened to my parents. My parents were pretty amicably divorced, but it's still a very unusual story. And this is actually inspired by the real life. The owner of the Boston Celtics, he and his wife share an apartment with her ex-husband. They are incredibly amicably divorced.
Wow.
That's what I said. And what I loved about the script was it really captured how two people can have had a not terrific marital history, but can make a friendship out of that.
So let's see who's in this family now. You got you and your ex-wife. You've got 1 or 2 kids.
2 kids.
2 kids, and then you got Trey, and I guess that's why you made him the owner of the Boston Celtics.
Yes, the owner of my character's favorite sports team. But it's also about sort of accepting that your ex-wife is going to move on because, he's like her dream guy, and I'm still driving a 2004 Honda Accord,
right.
And he's a billionaire as well.
Okay, that's the only part I don't understand. So the owner of the Boston Celtics, who could live anywhere in any mansion, moves in with you guys.
Yes. Well, he still has his lovely penthouse.
Okay.
But it's just every week they alternate. And that's what happens in real life is that they alternated. They each got separate apartments and they alternated back in the kids' apartment. They called it the nest. And it was very, that it worked out. And actually the kids are about to head off to college now in real life. So that setup will kind of wilt away, I'm sure. But we just, thought it was such a fun, ridiculous relationship with each other.
It's such a funny concept. Such a funny concept. I mean, there's so many things that can happen with this. And Jon, it's a new thing, I think, for television, but there are people that are just doing this all the time now. I know in the Chinese culture, the idea is that nobody ever leaves the house. I mean, all the kids and the parents and everybody stays in.
Yes, multi-generational households. Yes. Actually, my son, who recently graduated from college, he came back to live with us, while he's looking for a job. And every now and then I'll say, hey, how's the job search going, in the hopes that he will get his own apartment at some point. And he's like, hey, do you know that most cultures have multi-generational households where people just live there. And I'm like, wait a minute. This is America, son.
That's right. Well, my daughter, who lives in Los Angeles, is kind of the same situation, except she doesn't want to live with us, but just wants us to continue supporting her. So that's a different kind of thing.
Yeah, I understand that. It is tougher now. It is much tougher now to go out and get a place than it was when we were younger, So I am cognizant of that, and I'm going to keep that in mind. But my son is actually very motivated and already might have a job in Germany, which would be. Yeah, he writes software, so it's the kind of thing that he could do a lot of places. But there's looking like there's a job in Germany for him, and I was like, oh my, wow! It's either he's going to live in his old room, or he's going to live 4,000 miles on the other side of the planet.
Right.
Very, very spark. The huge disparity between those choices.
Hey, I want to ask you about your podcast, too. You've got an Apple podcast called Lawyers, Guns, and Money, which I'm pretty sure is a song.
Yes.
Right?
It's a Warren Zevon song, yeah.
Yeah. And this is all about the Iran-Contra scandal. Boy, that sounds fascinating.
The crazy thing about the Iran-Contra scandal was first of all, there's a whole backstory that you'd never hear about. That's really fascinating. But the story that it's bananas. It's absolutely bananas because there was this public defender in Miami in 1986. Young guy, never tried a case before. He gets his first felony case, and it's this nutball who says, "I'm secretly running guns for the CIA." And then the guy says, "Sure you are." And the guy says, "You don't believe me? Here's a phone number. Here, call this." And the guy calls the number, and it's the White House.
Wow!
And it turns out the guy really was secretly running guns for the CIA. So he ended up uncovering this whole secret war that the White House was fighting at the time that nobody knew about. And it ended up causing this huge scandal and being this this big deal. But it's a fascinating story about how the Cold War was being fought secretly, and how much of how much the administration was trying to do at the time to fight that we just didn't know about at the time.
Wow. It always amazes me when I find out something about that, and you go, how much else do we not know? Right? How much is going on that we have no idea about?
Well, that's the thing is that, here, nowadays you see on the news, you see it's so, and you obviously read on the internet, there's stuff that comes before the public that you go, there's got to be more to that.
Yeah. Sure. Right.
Sounds a little crazy. There's got to be more to that. And now that it's been 40 years since all that stuff broke, a lot of the what actually happened is sort of coming to the surface, and people are much more willing to talk about it, and you're able to sort of see, where it came from, and because it all goes back to, during World War II, there was a thing called the OSS, which was the precursor to the CIA.
Yeah,
and they would work with criminal organizations in Germany and in Italy, because those were the people who could fight the Nazis the most effectively.
Wow.
They would reach out to the mafia and stuff like that. Like the Jewish mafia in New York used to fight Nazis in New York, and when there were Nazi spies trying to infiltrate the unions in New York in the 30s and 40s. And they were the ones who the government used to help fight them. So there's all kinds of really interesting links, in terms of how that all came down.
I'm going to be addicted to this podcast. It's on Apple. It's called Lawyers, Guns, and Money. And Jon, listen, it's such a pleasure to talk to you. Enjoyed your work for so many years, and best of luck on Extended Family. Just what a fun show.
Well, thank you so much. I hope you enjoy it, and we're making more. We're shooting our last one for the season this next week. So I hope you enjoy it.
You've been listening to Celebrity Salute. Celebrity Salute is produced by Brainstorm Media and distributed by National Defense Network, with host Randy Miller and executive produced by Nate Herron. Be sure to visit us at nationaldefensenetwork.com. This podcast is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, or wherever you get your podcasts. You can also say, Alexa, play the National Defense Network podcast.